what is the secret method for making a 10 out of 10 TikTok ad creative?
One of the people I work with now, I won't say any names, but well over 8 figures, and it's all gone. He said, you have to make enough money that your future girlfriend or wife can run a business that loses 20K a month and you're still okay with it.
What's the best ROAS you've ever gotten for a client?
1.7K X ROAS.
Welcome back to another podcast. My boy Nathan, how we doing, brother?
Good, brother. How are you?
Chilling. We're out here in beautiful Miami on the balcony with a crazy ass backdrop for you guys. So I wanted to have my boy on. We connected actually last summer through a mutual. To shout out to you, Niles, if you're watching this. And we hit it off, working on some ad stuff, content stuff, and now we're just boys. So
yeah, surprising. Yeah, you became one of my close friends after meeting that, even though you did start as a client though.
Yeah.
But it was cool. We've connected really well. Yeah.
Yeah, so I wanted to have Nathan on because he has a really good, unique perspective in terms of TikTok shop. If you guys haven't seen the pod with Sebastian Escueda as well, he has a very, very good perspective with that. If you want to learn anything about that as well, check that out after this one. But I wanted to have Nathan on, break that down because he does have a background in advertising and marketing, and I do think it'll be very, very valuable to anybody trying to sell anything online. So, Nathan, give a little bit of a backstory, who you are, what you learned so far along your journey, and what you're doing right now.
So for most of you guys who don't know me, my name is Nathan. I'm originally from New York, Brooklyn, New York. Grew up in I would say middle class family. I can't say I was came from the broke or anything like that. I did end up going to college. I'm one of those few online entrepreneurs who actually did graduate college. I graduated, I have my diploma and everything, and then I kind of started in the online space after I absolutely hated my job. And it's been a solid 2.5 years, and we're just going from here. I started with an advertising agency working with localized lead gen, and now we've completely pivoted to the online space and e-com, and now we do that. I still have the advertising agency, but we run that and a couple of e-com brands ourselves right now.
Cool. So I want to go into the point of when you were still in school, and even when you got your first job, right? Yeah. What was the breaking point when you decided that working a normal job was not meant for you?
So my first job, I actually went to college for finance, and the first job that, other than those little jobs, that, working as a waiter or working as valet, first real job I had was in real estate, and it was a commission and salary job in real estate where we were basically doing property analysis, BPOs, all that stuff. And I remember when I first got it, I was so hyped. I told my parents, I told my mom, my dad, I was like, this is a job where I have the opportunity to make so much money, selling all these properties, these big commercial properties for hundreds of millions of dollars in New York. I was like, a little commission off of that is a couple $1 million. All I have to do is do 3, 4, 5 sales a year. 3 to 4 months into that job, I sold nothing. I was making $2.5K a month. And I remember driving into the office every single day and being I'm not making any money. I'm actually losing money working here. I'm here from 8 in the morning till 6 p.m., 7 p.m. sometimes, not making any money. And I just remember telling my parents, I'm like, this is not what I expected it to be. Commission sales, you expect money, huge money, making all these big deals. And I didn't close a deal for 4 months. And I was basically just wasting money. The driving to the office every single day, the going out to lunch every single day, meeting with clients, all that, and nobody ever bought anything from me. So I just ended up losing a lot of money, and I was like, something needs to change here. And I actually realized when we first started the agency, we did localized lead gen, and I really wanted to work with real estate clients because I remember coming into the office every single day, getting a huge spreadsheet of 300-400 names and calling nonstop. And I was like, there has to be a better way than this. There's no way. Half of these people don't want to talk to me. Half of these people don't even know who I am, and I'm just calling them hoping that they're going to list their 10, 20, $30 million commercial property with me. This is not effective at all. So looked into ads and stuff like that, and that's where I got my real start with the online space in.
Yeah, so from going and selling nothing for 4 months straight to now, I mean, even today, one of your stores is doing 1.2K in sales. You're having sales every single day across all your brands and stores like that. So what were the most important lessons you've learned along your journey for sales and online marketing?
So, I mean, I think online marketing is very broad. There's a lot of different ways of doing it. There's people who preach only organic. There's people who preach only paid. I believe it's kind of a combination of both, or whatever you do. But the most important thing for any brand or anybody is telling a story, right? So if we think about it, all advertising right now is just telling a story. Whether you're advertising a product, a course, a program, something, you're getting at a story that has an outcome. So a good example is we do skincare products. Advertising skincare products is super easy because you show somebody with bad skin or somebody with issues and stuff like that, and then the end goal is the clear skin or the glowing or the perfection. So you're telling a story throughout that whole process, and that's where I think like the people who are very successful with marketing online, brands and people, no matter who it is if they're able to tell a good, compelling story, dude, you can take on the whole world and anything. And especially now with paid ads not being so much of like what it used to be back in the 2016, 2017, 2018, the video creatives are the most important. And telling that story is, again, the most important thing. It's the difference between an ad that does 6-7 figures in ROAS and an ad that does, nothing. You make no money on an ad.
I love that too, because the same kind of mindset in terms of the creative is the most important piece is also from Sebastian Escueda. Yeah. And he's killing it too. So great minds think alike, I guess.
Oh, of course, and the algorithms have gotten so good on paid, and I'm sure he's talked about that too. It's like a lot of the times we just have broad targeting. We don't even we let the creative find the customer themselves. We don't even break it down. I mean, of course, there's retargeting campaigns and stuff like that where we're getting in the niches, but dude, broad campaigns are killing it nowadays. Like the algorithms are so good.
That's what he was doing.
Exactly.
That's why I started.
Great minds think alike.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Then right now, you first started, and correct me if I'm wrong, was it just regular e-com, or was it just right into TikTok?
What do you mean?
For growing brands and stuff like this.
So when we started, like I said, I never really worked with e-commerce brands or any online brands about 2.5 years ago. I was working with localized lead gen because I saw the real estate people and stuff like that. I realized there was a lot of issues with working out with localized lead gen because a lot of the times the ads are not the problem. The creatives are not the problem. It's the closing in the company. It's the ability that they have. So I came in as an ads guy and get more traffic and get more sales guy, and then ended up doing everything for the business, helping them with their sales, helping them with this, helping them with that. And that's when we really took the pivot into the online space and started running some brands ourselves and really testing it. Once you have a little bit of capital, it's easier to go into different ventures and test things yourself. And I just saw a bigger opportunity to grow with the e-commerce and info product space.
You're talking about info products. If I've learned anything in the past few days just being here in Miami and just connecting with a whole bunch of these guys, there's a lot of money, of course, in the actual service delivery or whatever that may look like, but the real money is in the info products. And it's low overhead, but also high ticket. So anybody out there, if you're good at something, figure out a way to package it and sell it for a couple grand, maybe even more than a couple grand, because I know there's some guys out here selling packages for 10K pop, and sometimes even more than that for certain industries. So right now, in terms of where you're at with your businesses, how many brands are you currently managing?
So in terms of the agency, like I said, we still do some other localized lead gen stuff, but it's mostly shifted over to e-com. We have around 9 clients there. Now with the new TikTok shop stuff that we're trying to launch with brands, got around 6 brands there, and then a few little side ventures myself that I've got going there. So I'd say anywhere between 15 and 20 is what I really cap out at.
How many people are involved in managing 15-ish brands?
So in terms of full-time guys, I always say this, I don't have too many full-time, what we call W2 employees and stuff like that. I've got a head of each team, and you know this well too because you've worked with Rocco and some of the guys. I've got a head of each department in each team. So somebody's in charge of content, somebody's in charge of media buying, somebody who's in charge of editing, somebody who's in charge of client management and stuff like that, and keeping ahead of all those things. And I mostly just talk to those guys, and then they have a lot of guys underneath them. So with a good example is Rocco, shout out to you, my beautiful editor. He's got a team of 6 or 7 or 8 guys underneath him, but I only communicate with him because he's my top guy. He doesn't edit any of the content himself for the info products or for the clients, but he is the one I communicate with, and he's the one who gets paid from me, and then he splits it out to his guys, however that is.
Something I think will be very valuable too is how did you figure out how to build these teams and build these systems and basically have layers under your entire business that all funnel up to you?
So a big thing that I did when I was hiring and how I built a lot of these things is I basically gave guys whatever position they applied for, whatever position I put out there. So sales, I took on 6, 7 guys, and I said, listen, for the first 2 weeks, no one's getting paid. It's eat what you kill, blah, blah, blah. It's this and that. You're not on any salary. After that, whoever proves to me that you guys are the best and you guys are here for the long run, you will then have a salary, and you will then be kind of moved up to managing these, I wouldn't say lower level guys, but these new recruits is how I put it. So putting your guys through a test before you really give them what they want is a good example. But also, when you have a lot of people who apply and you work with a lot of different people, you kind of start to see like, this guy's really trying to go above and beyond. This guy wants to learn. And I always tell them, like, I understand you might not want to be here in a year, but all I ask is the year that you're here, the year and a half that you're here, you give it your all and you really put your effort in, and I will reward you for that. And that's how I phrase it to them. And, you know, I've had guys who've been here for 6 days, and I've had guys who've been here for well over, you know, a year at this point. And you kind of have to weed out the weak, is how I'd put it.
Yeah, just like anything else. And when you're finding these people, how are they finding you? Just through you putting out content?
So, I mean, of course, you know, with like editors and stuff like that, like I get 100 DMs a day. With sales guys also, it's a lot of DMs. Appointment setters, it's not really. Luckily, I have some people in my network that you know too that, you know, can place an appointment setter and stuff like that. But most of the guys that have come to me and have been with me for a while have honestly been either organically or a referral from somebody else. So either they're referred to me by like somebody who's like, hey, he's a really good sales closer or something like that. Or organically they found me and they're like, hey, I just want to, you know, see if you have a position for me or something like that. And, you know, I put them through a trial period and that's it. Putting out Instagram stories is a big thing too. Put out an Instagram story, a lot of people come. I don't like Fiverr, Upwork. I don't like any of those platforms because I feel like it's low-hanging fruit.
It's low quality.
Yeah.
What is the secret method for making a 10 out of 10 TikTok ad creative?
Ooh. So it depends on what you're trying to make the ad creative for. So if it's a product or a service, right? Like I said, the storytelling is the really big thing. I like to follow this formula. It's called an ICP call out hook. So your big hook where you're grabbing somebody, getting them in for whatever it is. Then the showing off your product, how it's going to help them, whether it's a unique product or a unique service that they've never heard of before, going through how that's going to help them. Then I like to always bring in social proof. So if it's a course showing you one of your students or something like that, how they're doing it, or if it's a product like showing a before and after within the video or a solution. And then the last one is just the, you know, call to action of like getting the purchase and stuff like that. That formula has done me amazingly, and I try to, you know, change it around here and there, but that's basically what we stick to for winning TikTok ad creatives.
And how long are these ads typically in duration? How many seconds?
So it really depends on like a lot of things. I've tested very short creatives being like 10 seconds long that are just really straight and to the point. For info products, I would usually say it has to be a little bit longer, 30, 45 seconds. 45 is a little pushing it, but we've had some that are a minute and they've done well. But for e-com and stuff like that, I try to keep them really short, 15 to 25 seconds max.
I mean, right now, how many ads do you have currently live running? Too many.
I couldn't even tell you the answer to that, honestly.
That's incredible.
Amongst like everyone, I couldn't tell you that. Okay. It's got to be over the hundreds at this point. Yeah, because I mean, we're constantly testing. On the e-commerce side, I mean, do you count like every catalog that we run and every image we run as like a separate ad? Because then it's definitely it's crazy high numbers.
Okay.
Yeah.
At what point when you're running an ad do you cut your losses or stop running it? Is there a certain underperforming level of ROAS, or what's it look like?
So there's a lot of factors, right? We do a lot of things called surf scaling that it's a long explanation. I don't want to get into that too deep right now, but there's a lot of things like that, and you kind of have to manage the ROAS. I like to track CPMs. If my CPM is getting a little too high, then I know that it's not, you know, the best performing ad, because even with a super, unless there's a lot of factors, but unless it's like a super well performing ad, which means my leads are really good or my conversions are really cheap, if the CPM starts getting up there in high numbers, you know, above the 20, above the $22, I'm like, oh, I want to cut this off a little bit. But yeah, putting you know, ad rules in place to not go below my ROAS, not to spend without a conversion, all those things. I like to do that so my client's not losing money, because at the end of the day, I'm in charge of the money that they're spending. So if I come and go, hey, like, listen, you know, we lost like $2,000 this month, they're not going to be too happy. So yeah, I have to put a lot of metrics in there to be safe, but there's a lot of factors of when we cut off an ad. And, you know, sometimes you'll see an ad that has a really high ROAS, but, you know, this is something we're facing right now. The margins on the product are so thin that even with a super high ROAS, unless we're spending $500-600 a day, we're really not making that much money. So gold and silver products is what we're dealing with right now that have super thin margins. My ROAS has to be above like 3.5 to even profit, which is a crazy ROAS for a lot of like brands, especially when you're spending 20, 30K a month. Like, people don't understand that. When you're spending 5K a month, it's easy to get a 4X ROAS. When you're spending in the hundreds of thousands of dollars a month, dude, you're hoping for like a 2X ROAS at max, because it becomes really hard to get a 20, 30X ROAS or even a 5X ROAS when you're spending so much.
It's kind of like diminishing returns in a way. What's the best ROAS you've ever gotten for a client?
So it was actually like a crazy client, and it was somebody we don't work with anymore, so I can talk about it for sure. But it was an outdoor Christmas lighting company, and through the Black Friday time, they had a 1.7K X ROAS, which, like, I mean, for people who don't understand ROAS, it basically means if you put in $1, you make 1.7K back. And I'll show you the stuff right now, but that was one of the craziest. I remember looking at it myself like, this is not a real number. Like, no way this is gonna last like a month or 2 months. But yeah, here. Should I bring it up?
Crazy.
He'll put it up in the clip.
We'll put it on the clip right now. Put it in the video.
Yeah, it was absolutely crazy. I was in shock for like a month. I was like, what the hell is going on? Because usually you see like run-ups on ROAS like that. Like, I've had campaigns launch in 20X ROAS. But to stay across a whole month at that level, getting that level of conversions is insane.
Why do you think that product performed so well?
There's a lot of things, right? So one, it was interesting. A lot of people are looking for stuff like that. It's something new, that like tech-wise. Two, the timing was amazing. Right in Black Friday, right in Christmas, Thanksgiving, right after that. People are hanging up their Christmas lights and they want to have a permanent solution. So it solves the problem very easily for somebody like that. And, you know, usually when you're selling very high ticket items like that, your ROAS is crazy, right? Because think about it, if I'm spending $20 to sell a $30 product, my ROAS will never be crazy. But if I'm spending $30 and acquiring a sale for 1.5K, some of these packages were 5K packages. You know, you see 21K in conversions, but dude, it was like 10 sales. Like, that's crazy. Like, it was like the average ticket value was $2,000. So it's really easy when stuff like that is. And, you know, product market fit is huge, and we hit it in the right time. If I were to run that same offer, that same ads right now, I guarantee you it's not getting the same return. There's no way. It's not happening.
I want to ask you a controversial take here. Do you believe that selling to insecurities is an ethical way of doing business?
I wouldn't say selling to insecurities is the way to put it. That's a good way of putting it. I would say selling to what people are thinking about and like their weaknesses, right? The selling to insecurities it sounds a little unethical. But I would say, like, if somebody's lacking in a certain thing or they're wanting to level up in something, it's okay to sell them what they need, right? I always say you give people, you sell them on what they want and give them what they need. That's more of like my business strategy and stuff like that. So people come to me like, hey Nathan, I want to do Instagram ads, I want to do Facebook ads, I want to do TikTok ads, I want to do Google ads. I sell them on what they want. Hey, we're going to do these ads, we're going to do this stuff. But then once they're in already, I'm like, listen, this is where your money's really going to be well off. This is what's really going to work for you. We don't need to go into all these different avenues. If we just maximize on one of them, then like boom. So especially recently, a lot of stuff has happened where people are like, hey, I want to do a lot of e-commerce ads. I want to do a lot of Facebook and Instagram ads. And I'm like, listen, we can do that. Yeah, 100%. But right now, TikTok Shop is huge. So let's take advantage of what's popping and huge right now and make a lot of money off of this. And then if you still want to go into these other avenues, we'll do it. But I like to position myself as like, I'm the expert. Let me do what I think is right for you.
I love that. That's a great breakdown. But I know we've been talking about a whole bunch of ads for a long time. I kind of want to pivot the conversation to something a little more crazy, which is crypto.
Okay.
Everybody's talking about crypto right now, obviously. We've been in crypto.
Yeah.
And Bitcoin just hit 70K. Where do you think Bitcoin's going to end up topping out at?
So I think personally, from what I do, I'm not a huge crypto guy and stuff like that, but you know, I like to think about it and talk about it and watch a lot of it. I think Bitcoin's going to trade sideways for a little bit. You know, probably it'll go up to 75, go down to 66, even lower, 62 maybe. But I think by the end of the year, like, we could see Bitcoin at 100,000. And I honestly wouldn't be surprised if it's above 100,000. I'm not too heavy into Bitcoin myself. I'm more of like an Ethereum guy and a little bit on the altcoin stuff. But for me, I like when Bitcoin trends sideways because we know that's when altcoins pop off and stuff like that. And that's where like a huge profits are made. But I wouldn't be surprised if Bitcoin's at over 100K by the end of the year. What do you think? You're the crypto guy here.
So I've talked to a few people that are in the crypto space pretty heavy, and a lot of them actually think that we're just going to keep going up for the most part. and I personally believe we're going to have some sort of pullback. We've been going up so aggressively, so quickly, and we've never seen it before. Bitcoin hitting a new all-time high before the halving. So I just have to go off history. I would have never expected this to happen. You always want to be positioned for the unexpected, but I don't have all my chips on. I don't have everything in the game right now. I have a lot, but I have a lot of dry powder ready to go too for these dips. Because in bear markets you want to buy, in bear markets you want to buy the dips, right? In bull markets you want to buy any sort of short-term pullbacks. And until that trend is validated, or until that trend is invalidated, then you can switch bias. Clearly we're in a bull market. There's no denying that. And a lot of people, I think, got wrecked so much last year from the bear market that they were so scared for so long to recognize we're building bull momentum.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are sidelined. So in terms of where I think the price is going to go, my own conclusion mentally and through people I trust as well, 120 to 130K.
Wow.
Could go more because we're already at this price point right now.
Yeah.
And all the normies, all the people that aren't in crypto are getting back into it. Just last night, I saw Luke Alexander's story on Instagram. Yeah. They're going to the UFC fight to the Miami arena behind us here, and their Uber driver had Coinbase open.
Yeah, talking about like shit altcoins.
Yeah.
That's an issue.
That is a local top signal right there.
Yeah.
When your Uber driver starts talking about crypto, when the people that aren't in crypto start bringing it up to you when we're at high price ranges already, when they start talking about it, wanting to buy, that's your key to start taking profits off the table. Because those are the people that are always going to be exit liquidity. They'll never learn. And
yeah.
I shouldn't say they'll never learn, but they tend to never learn by doing the same behaviors year after year and wonder why they can't catch an opportunity before things actually take off and make good returns.
No, well, I mean, I was one of those people who made the mistake in the last bull run. I never took profits. I went up crazy. I had an account that went from 30 to like 108, 109K on relatively safe investments. I wasn't in any like crazy low liquidity altcoins, but I didn't take profits. I kept thinking the wave's gonna keep riding, and I wasn't paying attention as much as I am now. And the account basically went back down to 40,000. So I went from 30 to 110, 120 almost, back down to 30, 40, and I was like, well, I'm not making the same mistake here. So now I'm definitely more skeptical and keeping an eye out, and I have certain markers in my own mind where I'm like, okay, if it hits this, I'm liquidating 50%. I'm taking it out, putting it into USDC, going to buy a watch with crypto, which is not a good investment, guys.
It already happened.
We'll put the screenshot up there too, the text message I sent him. It's not a good idea, but yeah, just taking profits is what I would say. Yeah.
It's always best to have an exit strategy even before you enter into a position. Because if you're just going to YOLO it and say, fuck it, I'm just going to buy this and see what happens, that's not the best foundation to get into the market with. And in terms of riding up a portfolio and riding it back down, a buddy of mine here in Miami has a friend that wrote a portfolio up to a little bit over $2 million and then wrote it back down to like 13K. Imagine being that guy. That's the worst position to be in, is having that, seeing in your portfolio a little over $2 million, and then just watching it go back down. You can always take profits early and always miss, maybe little bumps up, but you would much rather do that than take profits later on when things are going way, way, way back down, or not even taking profits at all, because it's not even real until you actually cash out.
I actually heard an even worse crypto horror story than that recently. One of the people I work with now, I won't say any names, but had a big coins in FTX and in Voyager. He had a lot of money, well over 8 figures.
Really?
And and it's all gone.
I don't know what to say.
Yeah, that's crazy. When he told me that, I was like, wow.
So he had 8 figures just wiped from his net worth.
Yep, just absolutely wiped.
What's he doing?
The lawsuits and stuff like that, there are all these like class action lawsuits and everything happening, but dude, that's one of those things where like, what can you do? You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of the, like, what can you do? That's the dangers of it. You can't really do much.
So in terms of just finding projects and hearing all these crazy stories and stuff, writing portfolios up and then back down, or some people having their accounts just uncontrolled, or not uncontrolled, but without their permission just taken away, right? How are you finding good crypto projects and good people in the space to validate projects to invest in?
So I'm not really like the biggest crypto guy investor myself. Like I don't follow the market all the time and do all that stuff. So for me, it's really about, you know, my network and the people who are really deep into it, talking to them, seeing what they're doing. Of course, I do a little bit of my own research here and there, you know, on the smaller coins and the bigger stuff. And I have my own places where like I'm taking profit here and stuff like that. But part of, you know, having a good network is having people who they're really strong in that space. Well, they can come to me for the ads and the content side. I can come to them for stuff like this and, you know, ask their opinion, ask for their advice. And that's really where I'm getting a lot of my information from. I mean, of course, we all see the news, like other day, the the OTP desks ran out of Bitcoin. Like everyone sees like stuff like that and everyone's like, oh, it's going to shoot up even more. But I think my network is a really big point where it's like helping me a lot with this bull run especially.
When you have access to the right information, anything is pretty much doable.
Of course, yeah.
And specifically in crypto, having access to information early is your kind of golden ticket to getting into a crazy project that could have a 10x plus. If you're in the Telegram chats, if you're in Discord chats, if you're in any of these, that's where you're going to be getting the alpha of crypto. You're not going to be finding it on YouTube videos really. By then, it's already too late. Market cap's already too high. The diminishing returns are already set in stone. Of course, a cool 5x, 6, 7x is great, but if you actually do want to be a true degen with it, you're going to need to be in the Telegram groups, Discord calls, and get into those kind of Twitter spaces too.
So you don't get rug pulled.
Well, that too.
Yeah, the rug pulls are crazy. I've heard some pretty crazy stories of rug pulls, and yeah, they're insane.
In terms of even my investment strategy, how I'm looking for good crypto projects, I mainly look for the people involved as well as their track record. I like to bet on people more than anything else. I will bet on people more than actual projects because if somebody's already built something really cool in the past, they can probably do it again. So I'd rather bet on somebody that's already been through the game, already has experience, and has already proven themselves opposed to something where, oh, it's some crazy meme coin. Yes, there's a lot of opportunity in that, but myself currently, I will happily take a 6, 7, 8x opposed to risking something for a 30x and losing that money.
That's something I definitely learned in this cycle compared to last one is, you know, when you know what you're going into and you have this like 5, 6x idea or 3, 4x idea, you're okay with taking the profits. Compared to when you don't know when to get out or you don't know when you want to get out, you're just going to try to ride it as high as it goes. And you know, eventually the bubble pops. So I think it's very important, like you said earlier, to when you are investing and you are going into crypto and coins, to know when your exit is. So if you say like, listen, I'm exiting at 5, even if you think that there's a lot higher potential, I would liquidate 50% and then keep the rest in. At least you know you're like, okay, I've gotten to 5x, I'm good, I'm happy with this. I'll let the rest ride and keep it safe in there, and maybe it'll go up like crazy, but at least I took my profits. And that's something I didn't do last time that I'm definitely going to be doing this time.
It's always smart to keep a runner. You know, at that point, it's all profit you're playing with. So whether it goes up a little more, great. If it goes down a little bit, hey, you hedged your bets, you took majority of your money out, you took your initial investment out. From there, it's game. Now, I want to go into relationship stuff.
Okay.
Because a lot of guys online, red pill space, people... I used to watch a lot of Fresh and Phil all the time in the red pill space and some of those guys. And since then, I've gotten a lot more experience, honestly, and have kind of changed my views, how I see the dating world. So I want to get your perspective. Do you think that the current American Western culture society of dating is the right way, or traditionalism being better?
So, I mean, you know, that's like my family's very Eastern European. My family's from Ukraine and Russia and Belarus. So I have very like Eastern European views on like dating and, you know, women and stuff like that. So the Americanized way is a little bit weird for me. I do see a lot of like pluses in this side of like the American side of dating. But personally for me, especially a girl that I'm in a long-term relationship with or dating like seriously with the idea of marriage in mind, I would want it to be a very traditional relationship. Of course, I think women are better at taking care of children and stuff like that. And overall, just, you know, a lot of the gender norms I kind of agree with, not in a bad way. Like, I'm not like, women need to stay in the house all the time and never go outside. But, like, there is a lot of the gender norms that I agree with, and I think it's mostly because of where I grew up and how my family raised me and what I've seen. But I wouldn't say I'm like super deep in the red pill space where it's like stay in your place and stuff like that. Like I think there needs to be a little bit of back and forth, and decisions I think are made collectively as a family, not only by the man. You know what I mean? Like if there's certain decisions that have to be made, of course I agree, but things that the whole family and that will affect your relationship as a whole need to be made together.
I completely agree with that myself too. That was like the most PG way to put it.
Oh yeah, of course.
Because a lot of people can deliver that message in a very aggressive way. So that was great.
Yeah.
And
I'm not over here like stay in your place.
Yeah.
Like, nah, that's not happening.
Like, I remember Sneeko with some stuff like back in his New York apartment.
Yeah.
Just like scream and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, really good clips, honestly.
Yeah.
But not ideal for dating.
No, of course.
If a girl were to see a clip or two. But right now, say for example, you have your dream life set up. Your girl, perfect. Money on point. Location wherever your house wants, or wherever you want your house. Do you want your girl to work still?
Shout out to Ben Bader. He made a really good video about this. He said you have to make enough money that your future girlfriend or wife can run a business that loses 20K a month and you're still okay with it. So, I mean, listen, I think eventually, yeah, like she should, I don't want to use the word work. I want to use the word like hobbies and stuff like that, where she is, doing stuff and she can go and do her own thing and not so much worry about the finances of the family and like worry about the like I need to make this money. But yeah, I'd love to see my future wife or girlfriend have hobbies and business related stuff and things that she's doing, because I mean just sitting at home all day 24/7 will make anyone go crazy not doing anything. So yeah, of course I'd love to see them do something, but I wouldn't want it in any shape or way to affect like the livability of our family or anything like that. So I feel like personally I have to make enough money where that's never a worry. That's never a thing where it's like you have to go work or you have to go do this.
As well as just playing into the masculine and feminine role, right?
Mm-hmm.
So many relationships are off balance, and there's an imbalance in masculine and feminine energy. And if you're able to be the masculine individual that you're born to be, then your girl is going to be way more submissive to you, and your girl is going to be doing things for you without even you having to ask them.
Yeah.
And they're going to like doing it and helping you, because the man leads and the woman follows and helps the guy continue building and doing whatever he needs to in life. Now, whenever girls are working a regular job, I should say, or even going to school and putting most of their time and energy into something that maybe isn't benefiting the family, I feel like that's when girls tend to step into the masculine energy. And from there, things can get a little bit out of whack. At least I've seen it, and I personally do believe this. And a lot of girls aren't very satisfied with their lives. They pursue a more masculine role, maybe at work or even in life. And they're like, oh, I don't need no man. I can do this all on my own. And it has that like boss babe mentality. And obviously that's a good thing to an extent, because I want her to be confident in her abilities and stuff like this. However, once it gets to a point where it's more arrogant, that is when it's going to be self-sabotaging to themselves in the dating market.
But I also feel like we're in a very, living in Miami, living in all this culture and stuff like that, we're in an era right now where I feel like some women are using men, where like they think that they're like using men. But I also think that that's only the men that allow that to happen, right? So that shows more or less masculine men who aren't, thinking about all these things and understand these women's intentions. But there's definitely a lot of women nowadays who just use 10, 20 different men to get what they want, and they think that they're like the hot shit and stuff like that. That's not somebody that I would traditionally go after and stuff like that, no matter how beautiful they are.
Yeah, look at all the simps. Just last night we were at the roof at Sugar. Average girls, not even trying to be mean, average girls are like, not interested. All right, cool. But then you have people that are super arrogant about it. That'll just like really just like rude for no reason. Like, we're just trying to have a fun time. Yeah. I'm just laughing, cracking jokes with you. And they're just super rude. why do they have this behavior? I always used to think, why are so many girls so arrogant? It's because there's so many simps in the world that are giving them exactly what they want, and they're not even having to do anything in return to get what they want. They're just existing. Guys are just giving them whatever the hell they want, and they get privileged and they get really, really spoiled. And they think the world is and they think that they deserve the world for doing absolutely nothing besides existing. And that goes along with the entire boss babe mentality of,
oh yeah, 100%.
I can get whatever I want.
Think about it like this: the average girl nowadays can put on some makeup, go do a trip to Miami, and take a couple pictures and make her Instagram popping, and then every day she has 10 to 15 DMs offering her something. Hey babe, how are you? Let's go out. So of course it kind of inflates their ego, while a guy may never experience that. You really have to level up and become something to have your social medias popping, to have people reaching out to you, wanting to talk to you, and to actually feel like I've accomplished something. While for some women it's a lot easier. So I think that's kind of like a little leverage point, but also a lot of women are using this, like you said, to take advantage of a lot of men, because men are allowing it to happen. It's something that the simps, I hate that word because it's like super red pill space, but the simps have like made it a thing, right? They kind of like ooh and ah over these girls and drool over them when, like you said, they're, no offense, just average girls.
The club scene is the most animalistic and barbaric environment in the dating scene. And what I mean by this is supporting what you just said. Why do girls get to go in for free and guys have to pay? Girls are born with value, and guys have to earn their value by building something up themselves.
I'd say some guys have to pay. Some guys have to pay. Not all guys pay.
Well, yeah, you have to prove yourself.
Prove yourself at some level, yeah.
The only guys that are going in there not paying are somebody. Yeah. Whether it's going to be through social status, they're a regular there, or they're a celebrity of some sort. Typically, athlete, whatever that may be. Born with and then earned. And so many people get so mad at that, and they're like, oh, I'm a girl too, I have to build my own value too. And it's just like, if you're actually out in the dating scene and you're around certain environments, you understand damn well that you can pretty much walk into anywhere and have a random guy buy you a drink just because he wants to talk to you, and then escalate that further on afterwards.
I mean, you could tell like the girls in the clubs that like you want to talk to compared to the ones that are there that you don't want to talk to. You know what I mean? Like, I can tell by how a girl carries herself in the club whether that's somebody who I could see myself being in a relationship with or not. Like a prime example is like a couple weeks ago, we went out with a bunch of my friends in West Palm, and I met this girl out there, and she was really cool, super nice. She checked a lot of flags, of course, very attractive, and we had a good conversation. But just the way that like I could see, because I was talking to some people here, I was talking to some people there, and seeing out of the corner of my eye that she's like next to me, not walking around, not wandering, not paying attention to 100 different things. When I go somewhere and step away from her, seeing that she's sitting there waiting, not entertaining other guys and doing stuff like that, that is a sign of like, okay, she respects me and has loyalty to me. And even though we're not together or anything, but she like is a respectable woman compared to, there's a lot of girls that you'll walk up to in the club, buy them a drink, talk to them for 20 minutes, and 10 minutes later you turn around and she's making out with another guy. You know what I mean? So you have to, like, people say like, oh, you don't go to the club to find love and stuff like that. I agree with that, but you have to judge the people who you see in the club and their character, not just like completely rule it out. Because like, listen, I've met some really nice people, and a lot of the connections, some of the connections I've made have been through like the club scene and stuff like that. You just have to read people. That's, I would say, the main thing. Reading people is very important, because some people are there to just get fucked up and throw up and have a good time, and other people are there to have a good time, relax, but also they have to portray an image of themselves. I've met some people who, no matter how much they drink, you'll never see a sloppy side of them. And that's a big thing for me with girls too. I do not want to see my girl or whoever I'm with being sloppy, because that portrays me, and I can't have that. Like, I worked for the image, I worked for stuff like that. I can't have a girl be sloppy and throw up on the floor and stuff like that, and falling over and be like, okay, that's the image that Nathan has around him. Like, no, you can't have that.
Great explanation of that. I align 100% with that.
That's why we get along, 'cause we have similar views with stuff like that.
Very true. And right now, if you're a young guy that maybe doesn't have a good amount of experience right now, maybe you're 18 or whatever that may look like in your country, I highly recommend going to the club scene, going to bars, and just seeing how the game works and seeing the nature of the game, because you're going to see certain guys that are able to pull and certain guys that aren't able to pull, and you're going to see certain characteristics and behaviors, why it's working for this guy and why it's not working for this guy. And at the end of the day, what is it? Looks, money, status, what's the most important? I will personally always stick by, it's your personality. If you have all the money, cool. We can go buy a table in Miami right now. I can get some girls in our section. They don't give a fuck about me though, unless I'm cool, and like unless I'm a cool person to talk to and click with. I could have all the status in the world, but still be kind of like a dork. I could be a tech millionaire, have all the money still, have the status of launching and growing and maybe even exiting a massive company. But if I am not able to speak to people and communicate myself, especially to women, because talking to guys and girls is very different, logic versus emotion, I'm going to have a hard time dating. So if I have one piece of advice for anybody watching this in the dating world that wants to get better at dating and wants to get better with girls, is put yourself in the environment where you're actually going to see girls in real time in 4K in front of your eyes, what they're actually entertaining. So many guys are like, oh, why is she talking to that scumbag over there, or this guy who doesn't really have anything crazy like going on for himself? Because I see a lot of guys even as well that aren't really like well off, but they still do good with girls. And the main underlying factor is because they know how to talk to girls, and they know the experience, they know the game, and that's an invaluable skill to have.
I mean, it's character and how you carry yourself, right? Like you said, I know a lot of guys who don't make millions of dollars, who don't, aren't wearing the rollies in the club and buying the sections and stuff like that, but they just understand how to communicate with women, and they pull very beautiful women in the clubs. And then I've seen the complete opposite. I've seen guys who are very well off financially, who, are, have everything going on. They have the money. They're trying to, dress nicely and look good, but the communication's not there. And it's funny because I'll say this, most of the sales guys that I've met online have really good game.
Oh, yeah.
Most of the guys who can sell like anything, they have an insanely good game, because it's the same way that you're selling a product or a service or anything. You're able to sell yourself to, a woman basically. So learn sales and you'll have Riz.
Go sign up for Closers Cartel right now.
Closers Cartel.
Shout out Luke Alexander. But I think I want to wrap it up right there. That was a really good end point.
Of course, yeah.
We went through a whole bunch of stuff. I know this pod was all over the place, but we wanted to provide you with as much value as possible on all different aspects. I wanted to highlight Nathan's specialty, which is ads, which is marketing, which is TikTok and everything like that, as well as break down some of our own crypto plays a little bit, our own strategies, and even what we're looking for in terms of dating and our own insight on that. So I hope you enjoyed this one. Nathan, I thank you for coming on. As well, guys, I always say it, don't be motivated, stay disciplined, and I will see you in the next video.